And this one kind of comes a little bit similar to the other one that we had, but I think it's a good question. It says, where is the verse that says when a loved one dies, they become our guardian angel or can send us signs of comfort, warning, etc.?
Where is the verse?
Now, I love that because it asks for a Bible answer. It wants to know the verse that says this. But the reality is I can answer that very quick. There's not one. Now, I love the concept of a guardian angel. That sounds pretty neat. I remember a buddy of mine had in his truck a little thing that said, drive no faster than your guardian angel can fly. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I have.
You know, and it's kind of comforting. And I know there's preachers out there, and I'm not going to start going into their motives or anything like that, but they'll say things like, you know, I know grandma's watching you right now from heaven, and she's telling you this, but there is no, that was that, if you couldn't tell, that was that wonderful cupcake that I had just a minute ago by that's right there. But anyway, there's not a passage that tells us this idea that there's a guardian angel that is caring for us.
Right.
That somebody dies and then somehow they're there trying to send us signs or stuff. And in fact, Luke 16 is where I would go.
Okay.
Now, I know we've talked about rich man Lazarus many times, but remember, the rich man was desiring that his brothers receive a message from him. Even to the point he says, send Lazarus because they will believe Lazarus. But the answer that's given in Luke 16 is they have, and I think that's the very last verse of the passage, if I remember right, in Luke chapter 16, it says, and he said unto them, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. And so he's telling them there, no, you're not going to go back and give messages to people. You're not going to go back and give warnings. Lazarus is not going to do that because, as we were talking earlier on another part of our program that we were doing, eternal judgment is eternal judgment, Matthew chapter 25:46.
Right.
There is no the idea of returning to the earth. Jeff, did you have something?
Yeah, there's a passage in Matthew 18, verse 10, and this might be the passage she's thinking about, but it doesn't say what she thinks it says necessarily. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. But it's pointing out that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of the Father. In other words, it doesn't indicate that they fly and protect and things of that nature, you know, that they are in heaven. And Jesus uses a very similar wording here when he talks about he was asked a question about I won't get into it, about marriage in heaven. He said, neither are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. And a lot of times you will see angels in heaven and mentioned together as that is where they are.
Yeah, and the word angel means messenger. That's
right.
That's an interesting aspect of the Greek language that the Bible's written in, is that the word itself means messenger, and sometimes it gets translated as messenger. Right. And you never see in the scriptures an angel attached to a person. I'll tell you what you do see. Here's what you do see, and here would be my response. I've never thought about that until we were talking about this just now. But 1 John 2, verse 1 says, my little children, these things I write to you so that you may not sin. And if anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteousness. Listen, I don't really want a guardian angel over me. I want Jesus Christ, the advocate.
Oh, that's a great point.
Over me,
right.
You know, so that kind of negates his power, kind of negates the fact of what he said at the end of Matthew chapter 28. Excuse me, is that right? Yeah, the Great Commission, 28:20, and lo, I shall be with you always.
Yeah, there's not anything in Scripture to give us this concept and idea that we need a guardian angel protect us. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Not the idea of a guardian angel who strengthens me.
That's great.
And, you know, I think this is an important time to bring up that there's a lot of misperceptions and conceptions regarding angels. And one of the things that I always find interesting, you remember the old show on television, Touched by an Angel?
Yes, yes.
You know, and all of a sudden there'd be this light around them and they'd start kind of elevating and give this little message. But you actually never get in Scripture the idea of the way we depict angels.
Right.
Normally, angels, we see these pictures, they're feminine and
wings,
and they're blonde haired, and, you know, this is the way they're being depicted. That's not how Scripture depicts angels.
Yeah. Just read Sodom and Gomorrah and a few others where you have the destructive.
And one, they're always referred to in masculine sense.
Right.
And they are described as warriors.
Yes, that's the key. They're just, and think about that. What did Jesus say, or what is it said about Jesus that he could call
10 legions of angels?
Yeah. And so is he going to have these fluffy little characters come down? No, these are serious beings.
And this will introduce another thought and maybe even open a can of worms, but I think this is important to bring out as Hebrews 13:1 and 2, because I think some people allow this to confuse them because they get this idea of angels coming and going and they're walking around the earth somehow carrying out things on a daily basis. Because Hebrews 13:1 and 2 says, "Let brotherly love continue, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." And the word angel, you mentioned it earlier, in the Greek just means what?
Messenger.
And so it's verse 1, context. You know, we constantly say context. Verse 1, let brotherly love continue. What's he talking about here? About the relationship you have to other brethren. Just realizing that if you will show this hospitality to people, even to strangers, sometimes you may come across one that's a messenger of God, not spiritual angel, but a messenger of God, and you don't even realize that you're helping them.
That's right.
And so a lot
Great
of
question.